Hi, my name is Adam, and I'm going to give my first look at Google's Magenta Ableton Live plugins. So the Magenta team at Google is focused on machine learning and creativity. So they're developing tools that help aid artists and want to find out whether that interaction is useful or not. And myself, I'm a musician. I record under the name 080808. That's the letter O and 8 three times. But I'm also a graduate student at Northeastern University studying data science. So it seemed like these tools were kind of a nice marriage of those two interests of mine. So I thought I'd give them a shot. So I haven't really played around with these aside from just making sure that they work. So real quick, just to go over the setup, you need to have Ableton Live. They recommend 10, but I have 9 installed. It seems to work fine. You also need to have Max installed from Cycling 74, and Max 8 is required. So here I have program files Cycling 74 and Max 8, and those are the technical requirements to get the Magenta plugins running. Then you just download their plugins. They come zipped and ready to go with an AMXD. You can drag them into any MIDI track like so and wait for them to load. And here we go. So there's one kind of main Magenta plugin that launches these 4 different sub plugins, and each one has a different purpose. And I don't have all the technical details on how this is constructed, but my understanding is that there's a model, kind of a machine learning model that's built into the plugin that's been trained on, I believe, drum tracks and then also piano tracks for the melody, because you'll see that for each of these sub plugins there is an option for a drum style of MIDI track or a melody style of MIDI track. So that's the case for each of these. And so I'm going to try to use each of these and just mess around and make something and see what it's like to compose with a computer. So why don't we get started? Let's see, where do we start? So I thought maybe we'd start with some drums. So I'm going to drop in a drum rack into Ableton. I've got a MIDI keyboard set up so I can poke around a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we've got a drum track set up. Now let's use the generate function to make some drums. So let's see. So the purpose of this subplugin, from what I understand, is it just generates MIDI tracks from its sort of pre-trained model, and I think you don't want a whole track or a whole piece of music that's just generated from this. I think that'd be kind of boring, but I can see it being useful and sort of inspiring ideas. And just getting us started, so you don't just have this blank slate in front of you. So if we start with let's see, so if we load this up, we have to choose what track we want to fill with MIDI notes. So I'm going to choose drum track. I'm going to choose which slot, and I think the variations is the number of MIDI clips it's going to generate. Temperature is akin to kind of randomness, with a higher temperature being a bit more random. So let's try low temperature, high temperature, and see what we create and see if there's anything fun going on. 8 clips. What if we do fewer clips? Okay, yeah, not sure what happened there. So this is at temperature 1. Now what I'm not sure is how it looks like this is totally, the first one is totally empty. I don't know why. I don't know how it matches up the hits, the notes that it's using to instruments. I mean, presumably it has some understanding of which notes it's producing for a kick drum or snare or a hi-hat, but I have no idea what that mapping is. So I imagine we're going to want to like move around some of these. But why don't we play a couple? This actually maps up pretty well. It seems to have, you know, a 2 and 4 snare. You know, we've got the tempo pretty low. It's not terrible. And here it produced some notes here that I don't have mapped to any instruments, so we could either copy those instruments up there and see what happens. There you go, so that seems to be the hi-hat. Not bad. Cool drums. Okay, so this one's just totally off the charts. Okay, whatever, I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay, so that was a temperature of 1, so let's try temperature of... Let's go all the way up and just see what it does. Okay, so here you see it gets a little insane. Not only does it look more insane, but it kind of ramps up an insanity here. Now everything seems quantized to 16th notes, so it doesn't seem to have any sense of... I guess for drum hits you don't really need longer. So yeah, we're missing out on some of the notes here. I thought that wasn't that bad. I mean, the snare drum is a little intense. You get a little tired of that. Okay, for computer music, it's not bad. For computer generated music, anyway. So what are we going to do with this? So there's another plugin. I haven't messed around with this at all yet, but Groova. So I think this is a kind of humanizer. I can take a track and add some swing maybe, or just a general groove. I'm not entirely sure. But I'm kind of curious because this feels a little robotic, right? So I'm wondering what this will do to it. So take the drum rack, take our clip, and it's going to output another clip that I assume is going to be the grooved clip below it. Let's see what this sounds like. Oh, that's right. Okay, so it's also adding velocity changes. That's nice. I like the velocity changes. It definitely adds more depth. I mean, this one you can see there's just, you know, something just feels off. I just have no idea what it's doing here in terms of adding groove. Maybe this should be a lot faster. Okay, let's try again. So we take that, let's try higher temperature. I guess I don't need to select it. Oh, that was quick. So we look at the original. I mean, it's really changed a lot about it. Not just the velocity, not just the timing, but it feels like it made a lot of changes to it. It's not bad. I mean, it seems it's just, you know, it's a little more interesting than the original. So what happens if we do I'm going to move that down there. So we're going to call this hot. And let's do it again for a lower temperature. Just see, maybe we can get just some slight variations in the velocity. It'd be a little more interesting. Yeah, I like that. This snare is getting a little intense. Let's see. How can we make it more interesting? So does this really line up to a metronome that we'd expect? 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool, okay. That's not bad actually. I think that's something we can work with. So we take that, I think just to kind of get a sense of the groove of the track, maybe tighten it up a little bit here, and then we can add in some variations and fills. So what is the length of this, do we think? I think on the 1, the kick should be a little bit louder. That's something I'm surprised. There's certain things that you'd think it would kind of intuit, like, I don't know, if it's trained on rock, then you'd always have a downbeat. And have an accent on 1, 2 and 4 for snares, things like that. But I don't know where it's getting its creative fuel from. Why don't I have this? I think it moved. Yeah, it moved the downbeat a little bit off, and so the 1 wasn't playing. There we go. See, that's kind of nice. So I'm going to make sure this repeats in the next phrase, but it'll add in its own fills. That's nice. I like the clave. That's pretty cool. Deet, 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 deet. I'm going to move this here. Cymbals sound nice. That's cool. Alright. So what do we do with that? Maybe add a little reverb, add a little spice, and move on. Oh, what are we thinking? Okay, that's something. So we've got a beat, and well, why don't we start with a melody, and then we can always go back to the beat. So what other tools do we want to use? So continue, I think that's something I want to use with the melody. So why don't we drag in an instrument? I'm going to use Helm. It's a great free plugin, VST from Matt Teitel in San Francisco. Subtractive synthesizer. And normally I like to create my own patches, but I think for this we'll just find some patches. Ooh, that's nice. I think that's our, yeah. So, rather than generating a melody from scratch, that sounds a little boring. I thought we'd try the continue function, which lets me play a phrase, and then the Magenta plugin will try to continue that phrase and sort of expand upon it. So if we, I don't know, if we just keep looping this and I mess around until I find something, and then I can record. something. Let's see if we can not have that. So much release. No, what am I changing? Okay, so that's a nice catchy phrase. What is it going to do with it? Let's find out. So I think the idea here is to have some sort of repetitive hook, but then, maybe every 4 measures or so add in some alteration on it. So, can we get that alteration from Magenta? Let's find out. So we use the continue function. It's going to load up another window here. We want to set it to melody this time and choose our helm track first slot. So it's going to create 4 variations. It's going to start with our original phrase and then create some variations off of it. And the variations will be of length 2. I'm going to do 1 because that's all I really want. And so we're going to create 4 variations length 1. So we'll try with the temperature at 1 and see what happens. Okay, so. Okay, so actually I wanted a length of 2. I'm not giving it a lot of input. I mean, I really don't know what can reasonably be expected of this plugin based on the input I gave it, because I'm not giving it a lot with this phrase. But it's just going to have to deal. So I want a length of 2. Create these variations and maybe add some more heat. Not what I was expecting, but don't mind it. Okay, what else we got? Now I like that it got the phrasing right here. This is really interesting. So it picked up that it's dun dun dun, these sort of syncopated hits, and it got that exact rhythm here, but changed the notes. So I don't know, that's kind of cool. See, and I like that too. Dun 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 dun. That kind of that's something I probably wouldn't have done on my own. So what if we just kind of copy this phrase here? Whoa, whoa. So it kind of continues on, and then we add that flare, and then why don't we also add that back in? But leave that. It's not bad. There's something messing me up about this. Yeah, I don't want that there. How about that? Okay, that's not exactly what I want, but it's still cool. That's so we took an original phrase, we created some new variations on that phrase, and sort of picked apart what we liked. So I'm gonna move this into arrangement mode just to arrange. So I want that repeated, and then this is our new clip. So it's going to repeat a number of times, and then we'll kind of finish off with that a little bit. Cool. So what else? Okay, so there's another tool here, Interpolate, that I think would be good to help come up with a melody that is some way a combination of this bass line and some melody that's yet to be developed. So I don't know. What are we thinking for a melody here? Probably some sort of bell tones. Whoa, that's not what I was looking for. Something a little more sine wavy. Okay, something like this. With some reverb. What are we doing? Oops, wrong one. Oh. Let's see. Okay, that's something. So just tried to add a little bit more variation than just the simple syncopated bass line that we had before. Going to quantize this. Is that going to mess everything up? Let's find out. Okay, so what I was thinking is to get more variations on that melody, or just to see what happens, is we could interpolate it with the bass line, since they should be running in the same key, but they're different enough. Now I don't know if they need to be the same length. This is 8 measures, this is 8 measures. Okay, so we're fine there. Okay, our last tool here, Interpolate. So we're going to choose melody. Again, we have to choose a track. And clip A here, clip B. Steps. Oh, right. Okay, so with Interpolate, it's going to move from clip A to clip B. So I'm going to switch these actually because I want to, I think this will be right. I kind of want to move from the simpler bass line to the more involved melody. And it's going to transition, so it'll take 4 steps to get there. So the first one will be most like the bass line, the last one will be most like the upper melody. Okay, so let's just try this and see what comes out. Now, does it do it as separate tracks, or does it do it? Yeah, okay. So we have 4 tracks. These 4 should be progressively more like the melody. Okay, so it's obviously, yeah, it's taking that. I mean, this is I think this is just the bass line. Okay, so let's keep going. So it's still using the register of the bass line, which is a little problematic because I have a filter on it. It's meant to be a higher register. So let's just, there we go. That's cool. Oh, that's nice. That's cool. I'd take that. So just a little bit of variation on that. I really like this one. I'm going to hang on to that, but also try a higher temperature, maybe some more steps, because those early steps are useless to us because we don't want it in that register. So I don't know. What if I do 6 steps, higher temperature, same clips. Okay, so let's start here. Still too low. You know what we could do with the lower one though is try it on for size in the bassline slot and just see what happens. Oops. That's kind of cool. Let's move that down an octave. I don't know where this really fits into the overall scheme of things, but this could be your bridge, I guess. I like this though. Do I need to bring it down another octave? What if I do both? Okay, so the original there, this is the one that I liked earlier. Oh, it's alright, we're going to keep trying out these. So that sounds really similar to the original, just slight variation. Okay, well, so I've got my melody, and then I think the one that I still like the best is this one. It seems like it should be a different voice, though. I mean, I just like it conceptually, but not necessarily in that voice, so... Oh, I don't know. This might be a little insane, but... That sounds pretty good. Let's try with our bridge. That's kind of cool. So we inadvertently came up with kind of a bridge in the sense that thematically they're all related, but the notes are different enough to give kind of a different feel and style, which kind of stumbling upon this makes a lot of sense. I mean, you might be able to by hand, come up with your main melody and verse, but it can often be a challenge to come up with a bridge because you kind of have to think orthogonally to your song. You are trying to go in one direction, but the purpose of the bridge is to come at it from a different direction. So that seems like a really cool application of Magenta. Great. So I think upon that epiphany, maybe we'll stop there and lead out with this track.